Hello everyone, this is part 16 of What If Naruto Gained Ashura's Memories, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Sangaku no Hakaba. Obito cursed in the darkness of the room, as he knelt in front of the Gedo Mazo, where once Madara had sat. He was tired, his eye stung like hell, and his former sensei's meddlesome brat of Asen had broken a few of his ribs with that freaking Uzumaki jutsu of his. He remembered Kushina-san using it once, he just didn't know it was that strong. Not to mention, that a talentless baby brother kicked like hell. If Itachi called the likes of Naruto and Sasuke talentless, Obito wondered what the former Uchiha heir counted as actual talent, worth mentioning. He looked up, when he sensed Zetsu appearing trough the floor. The bicolored artificial human blinked at his disheveled state. What happened to you, Obito? Obito scowled. Itachi's brother kicks like hell and the Kyuubi jinchuriki is worthy of the Uzumaki name, that's what happened. Now get me bandages, will you? The little blonde menace broke a few of my ribs, he hissed. Zetsu disappeared trough the floor again, and in the meanwhile, Obito tried to carefully peel himself off of his Kalakan clothing. He was only halfway, when Zetsu returned, with bandages and a basic medical kit. The creature approached and helped him with the rest of his clothes and then opened the kit to have a look at his W. Again, what happened in Kiri? Obito scowled. Senju Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke are powerful, despite the young age. And dangerous, he hissed, as Zetsu prodded at his W, but as the creature worked further and the pain dulled, Obito could breath again. The jinchuriki broke my ribs with a signature Uzumaki technique. And I could feel my little cousin's eyes, his Sharingan holds power. Lots of it. Zetsu's round face contracted into a frown, half worried, half angry. That does not sound of the Mizukage. I can feel that they somehow broke my connection to him. Obito growled. I want you to go to Kiri and spy on the lot. I want to know what that was, what they've done. While you're at it, I'll rest. Zetsu nodded. Of Itachi, I think I've seen him wearing a Konoha headband, while fleeing, he spat, he played us. Ignore him for now, but if anyone gets the chance, no matter how small the chance is, K him, he snarled, his Sharingan flashing with anger, despite his exhaustion. Zetsu merely nodded, before sinking into the ground. Obito leaned against the stone throne with a tired groan. Trying to bring peace was so tiresome, perhaps he should just have let himself die that day, after the stones fell. Gods knew, perhaps then he would be with Rin already. No, don't think like that, he chided himself, Madara-sama is waiting, counting on me to go on with this plan, and I will. I will complete it, and together, we will bring peace, so there won't be any more be. And in the end, I shall see Rin once more. Konoha, Namika's estate. Sasuke woke with a splitting headache and his limbs feeling like stone. When he opened his eyes, he immediately shut them, as the sharp light stung his senses. He groaned, cursing in his head. Chakra exhaustion was B. Why wash, Otsutsuki Indra, Suki no Urashi, Kaminari no Kami, Ninshu no Tensei, cursed with something as painful, trivial and degrading, as chakra exhaustion. You're like that because you were being reckless. Kurama's distant voice rumbled. Sasuke huffed and closed his eyes, trying to focus on his eldest brother's chakra presence. Despite his sharp sensory, it was hard at the moment. Where are you, Ni-sama? Ashura has a shift at the hospital. We'll be back in a few hours. Your Uchiha brother, though, should be in the house. Rest, though. Ashura was pretty skittish on the way back, you were pretty bad off. Almost burned out your own chakra pathway. Kurama explained, and then his presence faded from his mind entirely, not that it had been strong, to being with. Sasuke winced at that. The last time that happened, was when he had created his most destructive move with Susanoo. His wife had been pretty freaked out, and then as a form of punishment for freaking her out, she'd refused to speak to him for an entire week. And that glare, he shivered. Shachi never had the Sharingan, like some of B followers gained it, trough thel B ritual, but even without the dojutsu, she was fearsome enough. Gods forbid that glare. Number. Stop thinking about that, he thought, hurriedly banishing the bee-freezing glare from his thoughts. Her blue eyes had been beautiful, but he never, ever in the rest of his life wanted to see such a glare. It was perhaps even worse than his father's glare, and that was saying something. "I see you're awake, Ototo," came a soft voice from his room's door. Sasuke shifted his head on the pillow and smiled tiredly at Itachi. "Tachi ni. Are you all right, Kakashi? Yamato?" Itachi huffed softly as he walked into the room and carefully sat on the edge of his bed. "We're all fine. Tired, but fine. Naruto was the worst off when we departed from Kiri, but he recovered quickly, no doubt, both the work of his heritage and the fox. Now he's at the hospital, doing his shift, although it's shorter than usual. Tsunade-sama wants him to rest too, but he was stubborn about doing his work. He left about 15 minutes ago." Sasuke hummed, acknowledging all that had been said. "How long was I out? This is the third day since we're back. I honestly thought you'll be out today, too, but..." Itachi trailed off, his black eyes glinting sharply, studying him. "I'm glad you're awake." Sasuke grunted, his eyes drifting shut. His head hurt from all the light, otherwise, save for the dull ache all over his body and that his limbs felt like stones, he was okay. Better than he anticipated, after nearly burning out his chakra pathways. Probably Naruto healed him some on the way back. Or, if not him, considering his exhaustion, then one of his summons. Even with his eyes closed, he could feel Itachi's heavy gaze. "Ask away," he said quietly. "I can feel how much you want to talk." Itachi huffed. "Never do that again, Sasuke. Do you know how scared I was when I realized that it wasn't a simple chakra exhaustion?" Sasuke felt bad as he sensed the worry and hurt in his brother's tone. Suddenly, in a few seconds, he saw more emotion on the usually passive face than in the long weeks since Itachi's return. Naruto was tired too, and I could see the small signs that meant he was borderline exhausted, about to collapse, but he held it together long enough to actually reach his cot and sleep. You, on the other hand, pale and sweating, yet as cold as ice. Sasuke sighed and his hand sneaked out from under the covers to grasp Itachi's. "Gomen, Oni-san. But only we could hope to subdue Isabu and break the masked man's control." "Masked man?" Itachi whispered. "You saw him. You met Madara." Sasuke sighed. "That's not Madara. Ni-sama met the man on the night of Naruto's birth, and he also encountered Madara around the happenings of the Shumatsu no Tani, remember?" He shook his head. "He said that man wasn't Madara, and I believe him." Itachi huffed. "Still, he's powerful. And you fought him?" Sasuke grunted. "Yes. Skilled fighter with a powerful Sharingan. A Sharingan capable of controlling Biju, which so far only Madara had ever achieved. I didn't count. I had the power, but I never actually forced any of my siblings to." He trailed off, shaking his head, unable to even say the words. He remembered not trusting his siblings, although he'd never sunk so low to turn them into living, yet helpless puppets. Not to mention he has Kamui and that eye of his. Itachi arched an eyebrow. "Kamui? Is that a Mangekyo ability? And what does it do? And wait, doesn't everyone have one or two in their eyes? How do you?" "Itachi," Sasuke called sharply, "let me answer, Shinju, damn it." He took a deep breath, giving his brother a sharp look. Itachi calmed himself, looking apologetic for a second. "Yes, Kamui's an ability of the Mangekyo Sharingan. It's an advanced space-time technique, which makes Theharashin look like a jockey. But that's beside the point. Andes, most of the time, a Mangekyo has one special ability, plus Susanoo. The only exception is Tsukuyomi, Amaterasu. The two abilities are so closely linked, that the individual, who has, say, a primary access to Tsukuyomi, like yourself, has a less refined chance to use Amaterasu and vice versa. I possess both Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu, as you've seen, when I broke yours. Alter, my Tsukuyomi, Amaterasu pair are equally powerful. I guess it comes with, kind of being an Otsutsuki, even if I didn't have to be anymore. I know the workings of Kamui, because one of my sons possessed it, and while I was D at the time, both Ashura and me, we kind of watched over our families, even after deaths." Itachi nodded slowly, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I see. Which begs the question." Sasuke arched an eyebrow in a curious fashion. "Just how powerful are you? Both of you?" Sasuke chuckled. Very powerful. Powerful enough to be called gods in our lifetime. A lot like Hashirama-sama and Madara, in a sense. But we're powerful in a different sense. It's hard to explain, he sighed. Why are you asking? Itachi blinked at him and then snorted. Why I'm asking? You and Naruto half an army, impaling, trapping and incinerating them, and then you go along Tosubju and Resealthasanbi. And by your story, the Madara wannabe was using genjutsu to control Yagura, which you've broken. Sasuke smirked. Yeah, and I think Ototo broke a few of his bones with our well-aimed Sutan. See? Itachi asked, eyes narrowing, and Sasuke thought, had his brother been anyone else, he would have been flailing around and shouting, "That's fat I'm talking about. That's not normal. Especially not for people so young." Sasuke chuckled. It's normal for me and Ototo. In B, we're Naruto and Sasuke. Mentally, we're two people at once. And we hold the skills and power of Indra and Ashura. In fact, we're weak, compared to what we were capable of, in the last years of our life. Just so you understand, chakra-wise, Ishold have been able to do Sanbiankubi and still be able to fight Ashura well enough, to scar the land. And he would have been able to break them from my control and still match me, without Senjutsu. Itachi looked like he'd been hit in the stomach with a chakra-enhanced punch. Kami help the world, if you ever gain all that power back. Sasuke laughed quietly. Gain that back. We're going to surpass that, Itachi. We're already capable of more, even if it leaves us weakened and fainting, than we were capable of achieving the first time around, at this age. Itachi's lips parted a bit in shock. That would make the likes of Shodime-sama and Madara look like fresh John and fumbling to match Akage. He smirked. Yeah, possibly. His face settled into calmness again, and I didn't want to be disrespectful towards the Hokage at all. But if we ever manage, they'll look like that, compared to us, yes. Kami-sama have mercy. What were you expecting, Itachi? Our grandmother is literally the goddess of chakra, our father the Rikido Sennin, who himself was called Agad in his life. His brother sighed. A part of me is very impressed and proud, another part is crying, because it feels like that all achieved as Ashinobi is nothing, compared to what you know. Don't get me wrong, I always hoped you'll surpass me, but this is almost ridiculous. Sasuke laughed a bit again and shifted in bed, to put his forehead against Itachi. Don't compare yourself to Madara, or me. Compare your progress to where you stood before and then, you'll see how much you've achieved. And, we'll get stronger together. You show me that trick you always did with the kunai and I'll help you complete your Susanoo. Deal. Itachi looked like he wanted to say something about the trick, regarding the kunai, but instead, his brother just gently brought him into a hug, their foreheads still touching. Deal, Ototo. Following that disastrous conversation with Obito, when the Uchiha had to be patched up, Zetsu set off to do the given task. Going back to Kiri and spying on the shinobi was as easy as ever, they still couldn't detect his presence. He went back to Kiri, curious about the two boys, whom Obito cursed so loudly and colorfully. Who could possibly have enough skill to W Obito? Sure, the young Uchiha was nowhere near Madara, in the man's prime, but he was powerful. Madara was the literal god among the Uchiha, if he ignored Indra. Indra was the real god of the Uchiha, his power and prowess unmatched by his descendants so far. Indra's sons had been powerful and skilled, but nowhere near their father, and they could never even hope to match the grandfather. Following him, the power levels on both Uchiha and Senju side had begun lowering into more humanly comparable levels. Until the reincarnation cycle started. With each lifetime, Indra and Asura grew more and more powerful, holding onto their ideals stronger and stronger, yet each time, both fell for the same mistakes, and that mistake was what had allowed Zetsu to win. The children thought they knew how to play this game, but Zetsu was smarter. They may have been stronger, growing more powerful once more, as the years passed, but he was smarter. He shattered the proud, strong legacy of the Sennin and his brother, trough manipulation and skill. Indra and Asura locked in eternal combat, their conflict and negative energies weakening the Jubi's seal with each passing century. Sarvastra's kin turned into be individuals, barely better than animals, their powers weakened so much that they didn't even have their Kekkei Genkai anymore. Actually, there weren't even more of Sarvastra's descendants at all, after the mess in Kiri. Mitra's kin were numerous, but divided, weaker than ever, despite their numbers and their Byakugan. Uchiha, Senju and Uzumaki were all gone, save for a scattered few, who knew nothing of their histories and could never even hope to compare themselves to Hashirama and Madara, much less the Sennin's sons. Zetsu grinned. Soon the plan would be complete, the detestable seal would fall apart, and the one and only true goddess of this world would be free. Her power would bring peace into this tainted world, tainted by the spawns of the 4 children. He stopped, when he sensed a bigger group of shinobi, all of them conversing heatedly. Carefully sneaking closer, he stopped, making sure they would not sense another presence near them. Stopped half the army, a woman said, making exaggerated gestures, her voice lowering again. The man snorted next to her. That's it. Come now, haven't you seen? That blonde, that Wazmokitan. And he had Uzumaki chains. And he sealed the Sanbi. And that Uchiha. The third one injected. Rumor has it he's Clan K Itachi's younger brother. The only other Uchiha alive. They say he created a skeleton out of chakra, to clamp it around the beast. The man shook his head. Ain't no skeleton. It grew, as if the gods were creating something resembling human, out of chakra. By the end, it was an armored human, as big as the beast, with wings. It dissolved and clamped around the turtle. The chains and the armor held it down, until the blonde sealed it. Having heard enough, Zetsu drew away. This was troubling. The Kyuubi jinchuriki, he was the only blonde Uzumaki, that Zetsu knew of, had the Mokuton and the chains. The 2 detestable abilities Asura's descendants manifested, strong enough not only to match the prowess of the Sharingan, but to subdue and seal one of the 9. If the blonde had it. And purple chakra armor, looking human. That sounded like Susanoo. But Itachi was sick, too sick to form the fabled, ultimate ability of the Sharingan. Besides, despite all his achievements, the former Uchiha heir had neither the chakra, nor the skill and sheer power, needed to manifest one. Itachi's brother, could the little pest have acquired a Mangekyo somehow? You heard. Zetsu stopped at the call, sneaking closer. They stopped Yagura and his faction. Terumi Mai takes power, one said. Stopped the army. Young, inexperienced Jonin. Son of Thikaishi and the other an Uchiha. Another one snorted. The Uchiha's fire was white. I doubt that's normal. Inhuman, more likened. Zetsu felt like someone had tried to deliver K blow. White fire, there was only one individual, one Sharingan user, to be precise, whom could ever utilize such fire. The man hadn't just created it, he was the only one capable of using it, due to his unique chakra, that belonged to Otsutsuki descendants. Only one man had enough skill in Kaiten and special enough chakra, special in a way, his brothers had been, yet special in a very different way, to form and control those white flames. White flames, that could only be outshone by Amaterasu, in sheer destructiveness. And that one man was a legend, forgotten by now, sure, he lived on in a way, but neither of the incarnates were ever capable of using the white flames. That was the proof, of how powerful that man was. That man, the one he had tried, and only partially succeeded, in using, to free the Jubi from its prison. And that man was none other, than Sasuke Indra. Sasuke sighed. He was still sleepy and a bit sluggish from chakra exhaustion, all too much better than days before. Naruto was a miracle worker, if it came to healing. Still, standing in front of the council of the village was not something he had planned for today, but really, they should have expected something like this to happen. Winning Awa, almost the 2 of them, was bound to attract attention. If not that, then the rumors of him and his brother subduing Isabu. And the volume was growing in the room, minute by minute, as different suggestions and gods know what else kept flying about in the room. He was starting to lose his patience, especially with some of the civilians, who were unnecessarily loud. So, excuse him, if he happened to release some K-intent, from his seat. Since, standing in front of the council was kind of figurative. Both himself and Naruto were seated among the clan heads, in their respective seats. Itachi, despite coming back, had given up his la. Sasuke had a snaking suspicion it had to do with the fact, Thathu as Indra, and ditched it to him. Sasuke didn't mind it, but at the same time, he would have liked to strangle Itachi for it. Now on the top of trying to prevent a world catastrophe, he had to play at politics too. As if Naruto playing at it hadn't been enough. The good thing was, that they'd managed to drag Kakashi into this, as the head of the Hatake clan. A while back, the Jonin had been laughing at their expense, for having to deal with politics. As Revan, KHM, fitting payback, they made sure Kakashi had to be present, as the Hatake head, at every meeting. Kakashi kept sending them dirty glares ever since. Mainly because having to sit in on council meetings, meant he could read his DT books even less than usual. Everyone fell quiet and looked at him, some of the civilians rather uneasy, as they glanced at him. Perhaps something's wrong, Sasuke? His sensei asked, arching a blonde eyebrow. She was hiding it well, but Sasuke knew that his sudden release of ki set her on edge, as it had others. He arched an eyebrow back in silent challenge. Was she actually asking that? The whole council room was a mess and she was asking what the hell was wrong. Excuse me, Hokage-sama. I just slipped. All this shouting and tension sets me on edge. I'm not completely recovered yet, he smiled, tone sufficiently sweet, yet chilling. The room fell deathly quiet. Sasuke sighed inwardly. Sweet silence. Naruto threw him an amused look, aggron hiding in the corner of his lips, just barely contained. Kakashi was throwing him a you should have been subtler look, but Sasuke ignored it. He was too irate for political games at the moment. Perhaps it would have been a quieter affair, if you told us what happened in Kiri, instead of us having to piece things together for ourselves, Uchiha-san. Homura said in accolly tone. Sasuke twitched inwardly at the blatant disrespect dripping from the elder's tone. The report has already been handed into Hokage-sama. Naruto stated simply, violet eyes matching the elder's gaze. Still, perhaps our accounting would be needed. Koharu put in, there are after all, rumors flying around about two fresh Tokubutsu Jonin subduing a Biju. If they were simply rumors, Sasuke said darkly, I would not have been in intense care and Naruto would be taking long shifts in the hospital, instead of taking short ones after days of missing out. So you really did it? Yamanaka Inaki asked, his eyes landing on him and Naruto. Subdued the Sanbi. Sasuke gave a sardonic smile. You're speaking of it, like a miracle. As if there hadn't been people among mine and Ototo's kin both, who were capable of it. I didn't think I need to recount history, correct, Inaki Dono. Inaki seemed taken aback. Either by his words or by the way he spoke them, he couldn't decide. No. Not needed. Ni-sama. Naruto hissed softly. Yet in the quiet of the room, it was like he was shouting. I know you're tired and sleep-deprived, but Benitza. He huffed and scowled at his brother. Naruto didn't even tutik, long used to his moods. It was Tsunade, probably sensing danger, if she didn't inject something, who broke the tension. Itachi stated he felt the faint presence of another on the site, where you dealt with the Sanbi. Sasuke groaned, giving Naruto a look. They'll have to speak with Itachi about what to and what not to tell the council, even if Tsunade was in on the reincarnation business. Indeed, Hokage-sama, there was one. Sasuke confirmed reluctantly. Who was this shinobi? Koharu asked. We don't know. Naruto said, completely convincingly. We only know that he wore the robes of Akatsuki. Altair was preoccupied with fighting Yagura-san. Did you fight the stranger then, Sasuke? Tsunade asked. Sasuke sighed. I did. He's powerful. I can understand how he'd escaped so long ago. He's tricky and as fast as Minato-sama. Tsunade's eyes narrowed. You think it was the man who released the Kyuubi over a decade ago? It was him. Sasuke deadpanned, the F admitted to it. And he said things that overlapped with what I heard from Minato-sama when the cage were back, due to Edo Tensei. Deathly quiet fell over the room. Then how have you escaped him? Homura asked, almost accusingly. Sasuke's eyes narrowed on the old coot, but Naruto spoke up first. Jinchuriki have a stage, in between, before full transformation, when they can't really do anything. When that happened to Yagura, it knew I couldn't interfere. If I had, the released energy could have broken my own seal. Sasuke almost snorted. That F-seal was based off of the Jubies, so no matter what, Kurama wouldn't be going anywhere, useless Naruto wanted him to. But, no one knew this and it seemed his little pranking brother was fooling everyone yet again. So in the meanwhile, I attacked the unknown man. Since he wasn't expecting it, thinking I had my hands full, my jutsu hit him full force and tossed him against a tree. He left afterwards, after threatening to get the fox. He expected myself and Sasuke to de-dueling Yagura, which would have meant he has an easy way to get his filthy hands on both Sanbi and Kyuubi, without anyone there to stop him. And he just left like that, after going to such lengths to ruin a country, to get close to its cage. Aberrane Shibi asked. Naruto smirked. Have you ever dealt with the Uzumaki Kongo fuser, Aberrane Dono? The bug user nodded. I did, courtesy of your mother. Quite the trouble. Naruto smiled. The chakra used for the chains can be channeled into some Uzumaki-only jutsu. Nin and Fuinjutsu alike. It did just that. There was silence again. So we can agree that the man is dangerous, Tsunade said, and that he wants the jinchuriki. We will have to be alert and... I already warned them. Naruto in, well at least warned Gaara and the Taki's jinchuriki. And now Yagura knows to be wary and careful. He promised to try getting in contact with the Rokubi's host, or to the man had fled Kiri. That means 4 of us are ready, in a way. 5, if we're lucky. The more ready we are, the less likely for the bastard to get his hands on the jinchuriki. And why not just let them have the beasts? A civilian asked. They're all just trouble. Are you out of your mind, woman? Sasuke snarled, his Sharingan blazing, as he stood in his seat, glaring down at the poor, foolish soul. No honor spoke about sacrificing his siblings, to Amidman. The woman seemed taken aback, fear showing on her face. Good. Let her fear him. Maybe then, she would never speak of sacrificing us for me. Uchiha Madara used the fox and the struggle between him and Shodime-sama formed masked FK half of Konoha's shinobi, when he summoned the fox and the 2 best shinobi of the village paid with their lives, to protect the 1, their sacrifice would be in 2, the 9 together could probably wipe all life from the 3, the extraction of a biju usually means the death of the jinchuriki and he'll be damned, if I'll to false lay a hand on my brother. He snarled, gesturing at Naruto. As long as the 9 are sealed, we're safe. If the F get the 9, pray long and fast for the Rikido Sennin to return from death, otherwise we are D. There was silence for a very long moment and the civilians were cowering. Even some of the shinobi seemed uncomfortable or just generally disturbed by the topic. Ni-sama, for the Rikido Sake. Naruto murmured, calm down. Sasuke scowled. Calm down. Naruto, did you hear what she just said? Naruto sighed. No one's deaf here, Ni-sama, all to some effals. He threw a sharp glare at the woman. And 4th Shinju Sake, you're not yet recovered. Hold back your K-intent or I swear, I'm putting a chakra suppression seal on you and I'll get Shiratsuno to keep you home. Sasuke scowled. You wouldn't Dareo Toto. Naruto snorted. Try me. For all I love and respect you, you're way too reckless. You know I'm doing it, if you force me to. Sasuke's eyes narrowed and he slowly sat down. Naruto just arched an eyebrow and Sasuke twitched. No, not that look again. He scowled at Naruto and looked away. Tsunade sat in the seat of the Hokage and watched the whole thing amused. Ever since the boys had stepped into the council room, their archaic, formal speech seemed to have become even more noticeable, even despite the fact that Sasuke obviously wanted to be anywhere else, but here. And the way they'd recounted the encounter with the man, measured tone, yet full of contempt. She thought she might break down laughing, when she saw the council's faces, as Naruto said he'd already warned his fellow jinchuriki. The final nail in the coffin was Sasuke's outburst. She knew she should have reprimanded him for his behavior, but the annoying little civilian pest was badmouthing the last of her family. And Sasuke did what she, as Hokage, having to maintain an image and a certain neutrality, couldn't. But really, she had a feeling it wasn't the outburst, or Sasuke's shocking enough speech was the thing, that rendered the council speechless. Her assumptions were proven correct, as Koharu turned to look at her. Have perhaps Tobirama-sensei and Hashirama-sama been teaching those two the old etiquette? Gods know I've never heard young shinobi, children, speak like that. Perhaps Tobirama-sensei and the generations before him, but not children. Tsunade shook her head at her granduncle's former student. They always spoke like that, so, archaically. Go, ask Kakashi. He's been saddled with the 2 from the beginning, he'll tell you this much. Children don't speak like that, Homura muttered, throwing a look towards Naruto and Sasuke. They aren't children. Tsunade injected, trying her best not to laugh. The disbelieving expression on the old coots' faces were the best. Better than any sake she ever tasted. You know what he means, Tsunade. Koharu hissed. Tsunade just shrugged. It's just how they are. It's for sure, That some people could learn manners from them. Naruto tried his best to appear aloof, as Kakashi finished their little tale about the happenings in Kiri to the council. Well, the part where Kakashi and the others were involved, that is. Why you subdued the Sanbi no Ishigame. Choked the Yamanaka clan head, obviously still in denial, that him or Sasuke could be capable of such a feat. He flashed an innocent grin at the man. I used a weaker version of Oto-san's seal. To be precise, he used a double Shizofuin, 4-symbol seal, formation to contain the fox, reinforced by Theshiki Fujin's, demon-consuming seal, after effect, due to the Shinigami's involvement. Used Ashizo-Fuin, combined with Amakadzuki Fuin, crescent seal, which creates the 6 points of Kyoka. Naruto. Tsunade called. Naruto stopped, looking at her. Yes. The Hokage sighed. Drop the technical ramble. Half of what you'll say we won't understand. Gods know I could never follow what Minato was saying, and both Oba-san and Oji-san were seal masters. Just drop it. You can tell Jiraiya. I'm sure he can follow, because he can't, she huffed, was that an Uzumaki sealer would find in our clan library, if he weren't looking for it. He grinned with Anad. Yeah. A high A rank one, I think. Tsunade choked. I'd rather not ask the chakra cost of that one, she murmured. I'm surprised you two are even alive. Naruto hummed. If I didn't have the fox for a backup, I would have passed out already, since I gave most of my chakra to Sasuke, so he could stop the Sanbi from rampaging. So. Okay, we understand. Tsunade sighed. Is that thing failsafe? Naruto hummed. Sure. It was kinda mean, and added Akakra conversion seal to the array, which purifies and recirculates. Simply, Naruto. Tsunade see in. Naruto rolled his eyes. Every jinchuriki has some of their Biju's chakra in their body, no matter what sort of seal is used. Used that little chakra, that Yagura has, to reinforce the seal. So it's kind of, the more it leaks, until a certain percent, let's say 5%, the stronger the seal holds. So the seal holds and then starts to weaken, and about 2% of the chakra leaks out. It gets cleaned by the added layer and helps Yagura's own body to clamp down on the Biju even harder. And that works if 6 or 7% gets out. I could go on, for a while. Of course, there is a certain percent of chakra, that would be too much and the seal simply cracks, but I'm not going into detail on that. It promised Yagura I'm the only one, who has the key and knows the full workings of his seal, for his own safety and intend to keep that promise. There was a pause. Have you ever been called a genius, Naruto-san? Aberrane Shibi asked. Because it's certainly a solution worthy of a genius. Just like Minato. Naruto laughed loudly, throwing his head back. He'd been called many things in life, in this one and in the first one as well. Genius was not one of them. That way, Sandral. I was called numerous things in my short almost 14 years of life, Shibi Dono, but never, ever had anyone bothered to call me a genius. Begs the question why. Inaki said, you're certainly one. I keep telling him and he doesn't believe me. Sasuke injected. Naruto scowled and rolled his eyes. Don't be ridiculous, Nisama, you're the genius in the family, not me. Sasuke just rolled his eyes and whacked him lightly in the back of the head. Learn to take a compliment, for the Rikudo's sake. Naruto could feel the entire Kusal room's gazes on him, but he could care less. The village had years to get used to how him and Sasuke were. If they still weren't used to it, well, that wasn't his or Sasuke's fault at all. Kakashi bit his lip, as he stared at Theshiki in front of him. Since Tsunade-sama had forbidden any chakra use for the boys, just for a few days, until complete recovery, the training shifted. Sasuke went on to teach Itachi advanced genjutsu theory, while the Uchiha prodigy, could he even call it a kathat, when comparing him to Sasuke. Showed a few shurikenjutsu tricks to his brother, and Kakashi had seen him both draw blades as well. So, while Sasuke was teaching Itachi genjutsu and weaponry tricks, he had gone on to ask Naruto for some Fuinjutsu training. Fuinjutsu was a hell of a useful thing, if one could use it. He knew more than most people his generation, or even some older shinobi, being the student of one Namikaze Minato and the almost son of the Uzumaki heiress. So, he knew a lot more than most people, but his knowledge was ridiculously basic, if it came to what Naruto was capable of. Sealing a Biju, even if just reinforcing an already existing seal, was no small feat. Naruto had readily agreed, so here they were, sitting on the lawn of the plateau behind the Hokage monument, and he was holding a sealing brush, staring at the shiki. How does this work? He whined softly, feeling lost. They may have called him a genius, but this was a bit too much. Naruto chuckled and bent over the paper from the other side. See that spiral there? Kakashi nodded. Yes, that's the center of the seal. The thing that holds it together. Naruto's finger glowed with chakra and he started drawing into the air, just a bit above the paper. It left a glowing trail of blue flaminute orsa, before dissolving. Okay, so, when you draw a seal like this, you link everything to this one, with that symbol. He drew Asmal's symbol, which resembled a hook, that will link the different layers into a complete shiki. This, just like every other jutsu, is a lot about intention. However, in normal jutsu you expel chakra directly and the intent will be known trough the move, attack, defense, diversion. Whatever you wish. Here, you learn to write that intention, because what is written lasts longer, it's stronger in a way. Ah, I see. So, first, you draw the different layers separately. Naruto placed a clean sheet in front of him. Draw them separately. I want to see each one. And careful. One bad move and the actual seal might blow up or worse. Kakashi said, as he turned his eye onto the paper, dipping the brush into the ink, before starting to work. Some of his former colleagues and acquaintances would call this embarrassing, to learn things from the boys, who had once been his students. But Kakashi thought differently. It was an opportunity. It was proven, to the shock of many, that Naruto was more talented with Fuinjutsu, than it had first seemed. The only reason the council had denied him the seal master was the lack of experience, although Kakashi had a feeling that it might not be a problem for long. No, wait, Naruto called, violet eyes narrowed. Kakashi stopped, rising his brush from the paper. What is it? The blonde made a gesture, pointing out symbols on his sheet. See that? That is the symbol for containment. The symbol you used is release. You can't switch up the positions, because the seal won't work or in worst case, will start working in the opposite direction, which could be deadly. Naruto explained, pointing out the mistakes he made, correcting them in the air, redrawing the symbols with chakra, so he would see the difference, before it vanished. There was barely a dot difference between the symbols. Kakashi groaned, throwing his head back with an annoyed shout. Why is Fuinjutsu so complex? In the distance, a flock of frightened birds took flight. Across from him, Naruto chuckled good-naturedly. The only reason why Kakashi resisted the urge to strangle the blonde, was because he didn't want to meet a pissed-off Rikido Sennin in the afterlife. But you shouldn't be able to do that. Itachi murmured disbelievingly, making a strangely exaggerated gesture. That's why genjutsu is genjutsu. You don't materialize things. Sasuke huffed. Why was it so hard for Itachi to grasp that the way chakra was used today was just the tip of the iceberg? You didn't materialize them, Oni-san. Channeling your chakra the way I explained, only makes the genjutsu a bit more durable. More lifelike. To materialize it, you would need yang release. Or to be precise, perfectly balanced yin and yang. But that is not something you or I can do. Itachi led his head curiously. Why not? Sasuke blinked owlishly. Did Itachi not grasp what he had just suggested? You really don't get it, do you? He asked disbelievingly. Get what? Itachi asked, a flash of irritation appearing in his black eyes. Sasuke took a deep breath and released it slowly. Oni-san, what you were just suggesting is what made Oto-sama famed as Agad. That, what you just suggested is in fact, the basis behind the Banbutsu Sozo no Jutsu. Creation of all things technique. Itachi choked. What? Sasuke chuckled, mirth dancing behind his black orbs. So, please try not to dabble with that part of the theory. We don't want to upset nature's balance. So, back to genjutsu. Inten is in fact, the power of one's mind and spirit, therefore. Now fully recovered from the Sanbi incident, as they came to call it, Sasuke stood in the thick, misty greenery of a Batemori, Itachi right next to him. His brother's gaze swept the area, curious and wary at the same time. Relax, Tachi. This is the realm of summons. We're safe here, he said softly. Itachi nodded, giving him a curious look. You have summons. Sasuke gave him a deadpan look and Itachi rolled his eyes. I mean, Shinsuin. And what clan? Before Sasuke could answer, Kajutsume appeared. The sudden appearance of the massive wolf caused Itachi to tense up, but as his partner remained on his spot, instead of pouncing, his brother relaxed somewhat. Kagetsume gave a curious, cursory glance at Itachi, before dipping his head in greeting. Indra-sama, he greeted. Itachi blinked and raised an eyebrow at him. Sasuke flashed a smirk, before turning to the wolf. Kagetume. May I ask why you brought Astranga to our forest? Calm down, old friend. Itachi's my brother, he explained. The wolf tilted his head to the side in slight curiosity and Sasuke rolled his eyes inwardly, in this life. You know, genetically. I thought, yourself and Ashura were the last of your kin. Sasuke shook his head. No, a Takindi. And Ototo has an aunt, Senju Tsunade. You might have heard of her from the Toads. A slug summoner and the granddaughter of Asura's previous incarnate, Senju Hashirama. Oh, and Karen. She is the daughter of an Uzumaki woman, who escaped the fall of Uzushio. I see. Kagetsume threw Itachi a look. Why bring him here, though? You usually train in the village. Sasuke's lips twitched into a faint, amused smirk. Yes, but it can't bring up a complete body Susanoo in the middle of the village, now can I? Sasuke stood a few feet away, watching as Itachi's chakra blazed and slowly, the blue changed. It turned deep red and the ribcage of the Susanoo appeared, the soft breeze, that came with the chakra release, ruffling their clothes and hair. Yes, that's it, he smiled. Come on, flare your chakra a bit and build it up. Itachi's chakra flared a bit more, his mangekyo spinning. Sasuke saw the tears slip down his brother's face and he winced inwardly at the pain Itachi might be feeling. Sure, they would be switching eyes soon, but he wanted Itachi to get a feel of the mangekyo's power, before the eye's full, unlimited potential fell into his hands. Not to mention, that his eyes were special, due to the lingering, ancient Otsutsuki chakra, which Itachi would get a drop of, after transplantation. Slowly, the upper skeletal version formed, with glowing yellow eyes of course, as his eyes fell on the construct. No, come on. Keep your chakra calm and focused. You have to do it the way I showed you the wind trick. Itachi grunted and the Susanoo fell apart. As his brother fell, Sasuke was right next to him, catching him before he fell. He let Itachi lean on him, before he gently sat them both on the grass. So heavy. Itachi murmured. Sasuke sighed. Yes, unmastered, it's heavy. Once you master it, it won't even have a weight at all. Of course, it needs more chakra than any other jutsu, so we'll need to build up your reserves too. But at the moment, you have enough for an incomplete one. And it didn't work. I didn't. Sasuke agreed. You have to keep a steady flow of chakra into your Sharingan while circulating the rest of your chakra at a steady pace around your body. That links you to the armor, so when you move an arm, the Susanoo moves, too. Later, when properly mastered, you won't even have to twitch, while sitting on the top of the armor, cause the chakra flow alone, will be enough to move it. Itachi huffed. You make it sound so easy. I mean, it seemed so easy, when you did it. Sasuke chuckled. Oni-san, it was considered a prodigy, by Otsutsuki standards and my chakra was stronger, back then, than any other uchi has these days. With how powerful it was, today's shinobi would have called me an Uzumaki. His brother chuckled, amused. Some of the Kiri shinobi did think you were one, when you flared your chakra for your special flames. He smirked. Ah, yes, the activation of that would make it look like that. Itachi's eyes drifted shut for Abbott and Sasuke carefully wiped away the tears. Gamen. Ikno, that it hurts. But, if we switch eyes, the power will grow even more and if you wouldn't know how to handle it, even with my help. You need to learn it or at least, taste it Abbott now. It's not as bad as it looks, Ototo. It stings and it made me feel a bit lightheaded, but I think it's okay. Sasuke sighed, reassured. Fine. But it's a strain on the body, so you've to tell me, if any of the symptoms get worse than they are now. I will. Sasuke hummed, satisfied, before standing up. Itachi stood with him. I think, we should make it easier on you. First form the ribs solidly. While sitting. If you can stand up with the ribcage around you, then you may try forming the upper skeleton again. Itachi nodded. Alright. And remember, chakra is the balance between man and nature. This means, that as long as you can properly sense everything around you, you're balanced, which makes your chakra flow smoothly. As smooth chakra flow makes it easier to form and maintain Susanoo. Itik nodded and took a deep breath, his eyes drifting shut again. Sasuke stood up, backing away. The chakra around his brother rose, and as he opened his eyes, the intricate pattern of the Mangekyo stared back at him. Susanoo is the physical form of Awal and Yin chakra. Still, despite that, you have to remember to keep the balance. The red sheen of energy appeared again, and within seconds, it formed into the massive, familiar ribcage. Sasuke watched, chewing his lower lip in worry. Gods, he hoped Itachi would manage and that he wouldn't regret teaching some basics to his brother, before their eyes got switched. And then, slowly, but surely, Itachi stood up and the ribcage remained steady, pulsing with energy. Asmal's proud smile made its way to his lips. And now, the second. Naruto chuckled at the irate look on Karen's face. It made her look cute. Since Sasuke was off, teaching Itachi how to use Susanoo, Naruto had decided to spend some much-needed clan time with Karen. He had come to know that his fellow Uzumaki used chakra chains, like he did, however, they were weak, a sort of incomplete shadow of the true Kongo fuser. So, he decided to teach her the real one. Back during the picnic he didn't want to correct her. The chains were Ahaden of the Uzumaki and that was what it should stay. First, let me have a look at the seal, which allows you to form them, he said. Karen blushed a bright red, but then, she took off her top and turned to show her back. Naruto hummed, eyes narrowed on the wide, circular pattern, that resembled the links of a chain. It was mostly fine. Oh, there's some slip-up in Theshiki, he said, surprised. It was strange, for an Uzumaki to mess up such a seal. This seal, this jutsu was what made the clan stand out among the others, after all. It's not a big one, so I can correct it, if you like. Then, I can help you train with them, so you can form the proper version, which you've seen from me. Alter, the correction is significant in the fact that the proper form of the chains will put a bit more strain on your physical endurance. Alter, that can be trained and overcome. After all, the more you use them, the more your body gets used to it, he offered softly. Karen's gaze found his and her red eyes were wide. You could do that. You will do it. Naruto chuckled, already reaching for his sealing brush and ink, which rested on his utility belt. Of course, Karen-chan. A would not have offered otherwise. Karen nodded, her eyes shining. Please, then. And I'm not one to shy away from some training. I want to be a good kunoichi. He nodded and set his things ready to correct her seal. After careful preparations, he asked her to sit down. Then he removed her seal and redrew it. Of course, he could have added a correcting layer over the present seal, but since it was their hidden, he felt that it deserved a proper seal. Uzumaki were known for red hair, seals and chains. She should have the proper seal. After about half an hour, it was done and he smiled in satisfaction. I'll have to activate it and from then on, the seal will take effect on your will. Okay. He did the single-hand seal, before placing his fingers on the array. Uzumaki Hiden Fuin, Keisei Ka. Uzumaki Secret Tradition Seal, activate, the ink lit up with faint blue light and Karen hissed Abbott. Then, a few seconds later, the glow was gone and Naruto took his hand away. Done. Arigato, she murmured, quickly pulling up her shirt. She only turned to face him, when her clothes were properly fixed. He smiled and gestured at the sealing equipment. A little bit of training. Bring it, she grinned. When Sasuke opened his eyes, the first thing he was the massive clearing, that made up Kurama's seal. Then, he watched it change, reaching into different seals. Gaara and Shukaku stood to his right. Yagura and Isabu stood opposite them, while Fu and Chome were to the left. Kurama was lazing around behind them. Hello, everyone. Naruto greeted with Asmal wave. Sasuke nodded to his siblings, with Asmal's smile. Asura-kun, Indra, the Biju greeted, obviously glad to see them. Ha, who are you two? Fu asked, glancing at Yagura and Gaara in confusion. Sasuke chuckled. Think it's introduction time. Gaara hummed and waved to Fu and Yagura. Sabaku no Gaara, native of Suna. Shukaku's my partner, he said, gesturing at the tanuki. Fu waved enthusiastically. Hi, I'm Fu from Taki. An orphan, but I still have people I care about, so it's okay. She grinned at him and Naruto, and this is my partner, Chome. Yagura nodded, A small smile on his lips. Pleasure to meet you. My name is Karatachi Yagura and this is Isabu. Karatachi Yagura, Gaara asked, arching an eyebrow. As in the Yondai Mizukage. Fu's eyes went wide at those words. Her lips parted in shock, as the Kiri shinobi nodded. Yes, well, technically, former Mizukage. I gave my position to Terumi Mei, but we're working together anyway, to restore Kiri. Mizukage, she murmured, and you're a jinchuriki. All of us are somehow related to the cage, or someone in position of power, Fu. Gaara said, my father's the Yondaime Kazekage. I'm sure Yagura had someone in the upper class, before he himself became the Mizukage. And Naruto, well, he's the prime example, with 4 out of the 5 Hokage being his relatives, past and present. Naruto chuckled at that. Yeah, true. But, we're here for a reason, guys. Which is? Fu asked, raising an eyebrow, trying to do her best, to shake her shock away. Sasuke sat down, knowing this would be a long night. He carefully leaned his back against Kurama and when his Kitsune brother didn't protest, he leaned into him just a bit more for comfort. Now that he stopped to consider the Biju his siblings, the way the 9 hadn't been in his past life, it was easy to act like family with them. Just as easy, as it was with Naruto, surprisingly, interacting with Kurama came the easiest, but it was probably because it was Kurama, who was constantly present. There is a masked man, Sasuke said, his hands absently brushing Kurama's burnt orange fur, the man, who subjugated Kurama more than a decade ago and his actions resulted in the death of Naruto's parents and him becoming the next Jinchuriki. But I'm sure Ototo already mentioned that. He did, indeed. Gaara said, we're here, because we want to help you. Naruto said, as he settled next to him. Wordlessly, Kurama pulled a tail closer to cover them, not that a min space could be cold, but it was comfortable, so he wasn't about to complain. Help you train, to become better and stronger. To be prepared, if that man and his lackeys turn up at the village gates, trying to get our siblings from you. Right now, you are the defenses against that man. Help us. Like train. For real? Fu asked, her orange eyes glinting with curiosity and excitement. Sasuke chuckled. Yes, we can help with general skills as well as helping you handle more of your Biju powers, that is if you don't mind, Nisama, he said, his Sharingan flickering to the 3 Biju. As long as it keeps us all safe, I don't mind. Chome said, after a moment. I don't mind either. We had worked together with Yagura before. Isabu added, but I'm sure you two could teach him things. And you know Myansa already. Shukaku injected. Naruto grinned widely, his positive emotions and powerful chakra lighting up the connected min spaces, like the sun. Sasuke hummed and scooted closer. He almost forgot how magnetic Naruto's chakra could be, so heavily laced with Mokuton. Shukaku snickered at his actions, but a sharp Sharingan glare made sure the Tanuki remained quiet. Naruto didn't say a word, just shifted closer, so their sides were pressed against one another. So, the first and most important thing you must know, his brother started, is that ninja is nothing like today's ninjutsu. It is all about intention, yes, just like today's jutsu. But those are usually positive intentions, harmony and feelings, like love and protectiveness projected trough chakra. One of the main concepts that Oto-sama laid down, was the connection between man and nature and trough that connection. That will be all for this video, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos, goodbye.